It's so quiet here. I push open the doors and stop in the doorway. The king is sitting on his throne with a vacant expression fixed to his face. He does not so much as flinch as I enter inside. I tentatively make my way to the throne. Your Majesty? He doesn't speak. His eyes remain fixated on the same place, as if he's looking through me. Is he gone forever? Angeal needs you. The king I know would never leave his kingdom into ruin. I'm standing close enough to him so I could reach out and touch him if I wanted to. What do I have to do to save you? Oh, so now you're being nice to him. I whirl around and place myself in between the king and Varg. All those years you had the opportunity to reach out to him, but you never did. So I guess the king had to be missing his soul for you to care about him. What are you doing here now, Varg? Someone had to keep an eye on the old man. The king thought someone might try and take the old man while she was busy. I had a feeling it'd be you who'd return. You can't bear the thought of losing someone else, can you? What are you going to do then? I'm not leaving without the king. Varg is silent as he makes his way toward me. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to stop him, but I will not move. I cannot let him take the king, and I will not succumb to his threats. It is at this moment, just as he is about to reach out to me, that he suddenly drops to one knee and puts a hand to his chest, his expression pained. I just need a little more time. What's happening to him? He manages to talk to me through gritted teeth. You shouldn't have come here alone, especially not with a big bad wolf here. It's my job to protect you, you know. He flashes me a wicked grin, but the expression is shockingly short-lived. It's replaced by a soft smile. But this big bad wolf can't do that. You can't destroy a person you've fallen in love with. How are you in love with me? Varg looks at me amused. How? Blame Fritz. It was never meant to happen, but I can't help feelings that were there from the get-go. The queen wasn't pleased with your knight, so she tried to erase him forever. But he hung on. He was pretty sure that if he could be strong, so could he. He looks up at me with such sadness that I actually feel guilt stir within me, and I'm not entirely sure why. I don't think Fritz could ever deserve you. Deserve me? But he's more worthy of you than I will ever be. I'm nothing more than a moth drawn to your fire. I can only ever be burned by you. Maybe Fritz will have better luck. Shadows begin to gather around Varg's feet and start to slowly swirl up to the length of his body. Does that mean Fritz is coming back? I know that this is the only way you would ever want from me. The only thing you would ever want from me. I just wanted to tell you how I felt. Just that. Gods know that Fritz is incapable. But he is capable of one thing. He's a good hunter. He defeated me fair and square to save Little Red, and now I have no choice to step aside. So Fritz has overpowered Varg. Try to miss me, princess. Think about me every now and then. That would probably be enough. Varg, what are you? Goodbye, my princess. He smiles at me, his cocky grin faded into a gentle smile. The shadows cloak him fully, making him little less than a silhouette. I keep myself firmly positioned in front of my father. Darkness eventually dissipates, and there, standing in the moonlight, is a familiar face. Fritz? I'm back. I look at him with bleary eyes. I'm sorry for taking so long, princess. I'm running before I even realize my feet are moving. I'm overwhelmed with so many emotions that none of which I can put a name to at this moment. I know only that I'm happy, so happy, Fritz is back. Whoa, alright. I throw my arms around his neck and kiss him. Fritz pulls his arms around my waist, pulling me closer. This is him. This is Fritz's heartbeat. His his warmth. He came back to me. Thoughts whirl around my foggy head. I step away from him ever so slightly, suddenly aware of the heat on my cheeks. Wait, did I just kiss Fritz? Hell yeah! I cannot bring myself to move away from his grasp, but I suddenly cannot bring myself to look up at him either. Why did I just... Fritz's gentle laugh brings me back to my senses. Though it is hard to parse the feelings inside of me, I can at least be certain that I love the smile he is giving me right now. This feels like a dream. It does. And not just because of what happened, but because Fritz is here. Really here. Fritz leans forward to slowly brush a strand of hair away from my face. My heart pounds in my chest at subtle touch. Once again, my mind is reeling with considerations. If the princess says it isn't a dream, then it must be real because I trust her with all my heart. I thought I lost you for good. I do not flinch away when Fritz pulls me closer so that I'm resting against his chest. But how did this happen? Did you overwhelm Varg? Varg erased himself. How is that possible? He always had that ability, but he's never had any reason to consider using it before. But why now? Because he cared for you. My love for you is so strong it must have affected him too. You love me? Varg said the same thing and he blamed Fritz, so it is true? Fritz smiles and I feel his warmth spread inside me like sunlight. Always, Lucette. Well, this is quite the scandal. Fritz moves to stand in front of me. Queen is not going to be pleased. If my kiss was so weak that even Sir Fitzgerald could break it, I do not even think I am safe from her wrath. But I believe her disappointment in me will be second to that disappointment she feels for you. After all, you chose a lowly knight. How dare you! Princess? I stopped short at Fritz's tone. You have an important task, don't you? The king. Mithros. Trust me. Fritz releases my hand to pull out his sword, sinking easily into a ready stance. I'll protect you. You think you could possibly prevail over me? Now when you have no king, no power at all? Don't make me laugh. Fritz strikes, his slash quick and clean, taking Mithros by surprise. Fritz manages to cut his sword through his shoulder. Mithros hisses as he clutches his bleeding shoulder. The hatred is bright in his eyes. As Fritz brushes Mithros, I run toward the king. You think a mere swordsman can best one of the queen's apprentices? I'd beware if I were you, Sir Mithros. I approach the king, who has yet to move from his spot. What do I do? What can I possibly move him? How can I possibly move him? I need to wake him up. But how? Maybe slap him in his face? Your Majesty, I have been selfish. I was always so concerned with my own feelings and my own pain. I reach out with a trembling hand and set it on top of one of his hands. Now I realize you were trying to help. It may have been lackluster, but you genuinely tried. I've been so unfair to you, just like your mother was. I do not know if words are enough to make up for what I've done, but I'm sorry for being so cruel to you. Please, I need you. I stare hard into my father's eyes, but there's no movement, no recognition. I dip my head in mourning and bite my lip as I try to think of another way to save him. But my eyes subside when a flash of light permeates my vision. It is only for a moment, but when I look up, I can suddenly see life in my father's eyes. Lucette? Your Majesty! I reach out to hug him, and he wraps his arms around me. I feel like I've been asleep for a long time. And then I heard your voice. It sounded as if you needed me. What has happened? He eyes the motion behind me and raises his eyebrows. He attempts to stand, but his knees shake and buckle. I duck underneath one of his arms to help him back onto the throne. The king stiffens as he glances at the battle ensuing behind me. Sir Mithros and Sir Fitzgerald? What is going on here? The king has broken the enchantment? Impossible. I told you not to underestimate her. Your Majesty, we need to get you out of here. What is happening here? Mother suddenly materializes in the center of the room, standing right before Mithros and Fritz, who has the witch at sword point against the front doors. But Mother is not alone. Mother has Parfait in a tight grip, but the moment I call her name, she releases her, and Parfait tumbles to the floor. Crimson stains her dress. Parfait, you're bleeding! Parfait does not move to acknowledge me. Fate would not let this go, so I had to bring her with me. Not that it matters. What did you do to her? Where are the others? They retreated like cowards, persistent things. I would have killed them, but had Fate not sacrificed herself. I let out a sigh of relief. They're all okay and alive. You still care so much about those traitors, and I cannot understand your attachment to them. Mother stands her attention away from me and to the two men who are at a standstill. Mithros, you disappoint me. You gonna blow her up? With a flick of her hand, Fritz is pulled away from Mithros and across the throne room toward me. I move to steady Fritz as he stumbles beside me. I'm sorry, my queen. I've given you too many chances to prove yourself worthy. You have failed me too many times, Myth. You are of no use to me anymore. But my queen, I have done anything you wanted me to. Please give me one more chance. I promise Silence. Mother's voice is as cold and sharp as ice. Leave before I erase you from my sight. Please, my queen. Mother casts a spell at Mithros that is all too familiar. It is the same spell she used to kill Delora. Mithros does not even have a chance to defend himself as Mother's spell shocks his body. Such a pest. I don't even know why I kept that useless fool all these years. He revived you, you bitch! I slowly turn to look at Mithros. He is no longer standing but lays unmoving on the floor. I feel bile rising in my throat. I can't believe Mother just did that to him. How could you have taken away that man's life so easily, Hildur? How can you be so heartless? It's the first time I've ever heard my father speak to Mother that way. They have the same voice! Heartless? But I am heartless. Humans shattered my heart many years ago when you hunted my kind. You did this to me. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice movement. In moments, Parfait moves to stand before us, blocking us from Mother. Even though her clothes are soaked with blood and she is clearly wounded, Parfait has never looked so regal before. You. Parfait's hands move before resting over her chest where light begins to gather in her hands. In the blink of an eye, a glittering golden crystal appears above her hands. Is that the Lucis? But the light the Lucis is emitting is uneven, and as I look closer, I can see that it is cracked. What are you doing? The only way and thing that can stop you. My heart plummets as I realize what Parfait is going to do. Parfait, no! If Parfait hears me, she gives no indication. If you do this, you'll die, Fate. Jesus, Kish. Stay safe. You will die and remove all magic from NGL forever. Nothing else will stop you, will it? Your hatred for the humans, the corruption from the TB, runs too deep. I see that now. Magic was never meant to be used with malice, Hilder. So long as witches can be corrupted, magic will always pose a threat. But I cannot allow that to happen. I wanted to change things with Delora, but what gives you the right to decide what to do with the magic? I am the Lucis bearer. I have the responsibility to maintain balance. But now I see that there can be no balance with the crystallum exists. Light begins to gather, first around Parfait's feet, then around her body. It slowly begins to make its way toward Mother. In no time at all, the light swarms around their body. The white crystal suddenly appears in front of Mother. The Tenebrum. I won't let you do this, Fate. It's too late for that. The golden light of the Lucis intensifies. I can hear the crystal shattering from the inside out. No! The Tenebrum breaks soon after, its fragments slowly fading with the bright light. Mother and Parfait's images begin to do the same, despite Mother's struggle. Both they and the crystallum slowly dissipate into the mist. No! I lunge forward, but Fritz's arms are suddenly around my waist, holding me still. Mother snarls as she attempts to escape Parfait, but the light around her creates a thick box that she cannot escape from. You would die for humans! The humans that have haunted my kind because of their fairy tales. No, I'm dying for you, Hilder. So that for once, I might save you from yourself. Mother chokes out a laugh. You're a fool, Fate. Perhaps I am. But at least I will die with hope in my heart. Mother returns to look at me in a blinding light. Parfait's concentration never wavers as she turns to settle her eyes on me as well. Mother's face is fading in the glow, but her voice is clear. I truly did love you, Lucette. Everything I have done, everything I have did, I did out of love. Parfait smiles at me gently. It's a silent goodbye. There's a brief burst of light, and for a few moments I'm blinded. When my vision returns, I see Fritz first. He is staring where Parfait and Mother had only been moments ago. On the floor where they stood moments ago, there's only dust. I like her, no! It's too late, they're gone. Can't do anything about it. With the loss of Crystallum, magic vanished from NGL. All the fairy tale curses broke simultaneously, and all the witches and fairies lost their power. As soon as it disappeared, I turned to an education centered around the knowledge of NGL, rather than magic. I had decided back then that I would do anything to help NGL and its people, and it needed to start first by educating myself. I'd started to follow my father on his trips around the kingdom. I'd even started to accompany Emmeline on their trips outside the palace. Fritz has remained by my side for the past month. He comes with me every day I visited the graves. Carefully, so as not to disturb the flowers Urian had left earlier, I leaned down to place my lilies by each gravestone. Garland, Delora, Parfait, and the last is always the hardest. With a deep breath, I walk up to the fourth gravestone. I stare at it for a long time before finally set down a lily down. Mother! Fritz and I stand there in silence as we grieve for the lives lost that day. I look up into the sky and smile as I stare at the warm rays of the sun. I shift my gaze at Fritz, who smiles at me. He has never left my side since that day. Fritz has already told me that he loves me, but I've yet to tell him my own feelings. Fritz? Yeah? I didn't have the chance to ask this before, but I didn't have to, how can you possibly love me? I have been so horrible, not just to you, but to everyone around me. Fritz's expression softens. He gently tilts my chin upward so that I can look at him as he speaks. For as long as I've known you, you've had to deal with things no one should have gone through. You were forced to live in the Queen's shadow because others refused to see past your relationship with her. You've been alone for so long, and I could see how much you were hurting. But despite all that pain, you remained strong. You've always been strong. From the beginning, all I've wanted to be was someone you could rely on, someone you could trust. Someone who would always be there for you. I must have trusted him from the beginning too. Fritz was the only one I allowed to get close to me. I do not look away from him, but instead I stare back into his eyes with conviction. I know I may not have shown it, but I did trust you. I've always been able to tell. You wear your heart on your sleeve. I do not. Fritz laughs, and the slight cockiness of his smile reminds me a little bit of someone else. It's been years since you became my responsibility. Once I learned your tales, you became an open book. He surprises me by putting his forward to mine. The feeling of him so close is comforting. I love the way you so carefree with whatever you consider precious. I love how your eyes light up when you eat a good pastry. I misread that last word. Holy shit. I love when you... Holy shit. Wow. Alright. That's where my mind is at. I love whenever you rely on me. Don't say it, Dan. I already gave you 2 strikes. I'm gonna give myself a strike for that one. I bite down on my lip as I blink back tears. No one has ever had that kind of faith in me. Before I knew it, you'd made a spot for yourself in my heart. And I began to hope that one day I could be as dear to you as you are to me. Shush. Oh my god. Oh man. I stare up at Fritz, the tears pulling in my eyes. He wipes away a tear before I can roll down my cheek. I have never felt so cherished before. I do not step away when he leans forward to plant a kiss on my forehead. That's not the scene I was looking for. I was looking for a kiss, goddammit! I hold out my hand and Fritz comes to my side. I feel the warmth of his fingers and smile. When things begin to overwhelm me, he never fails to calm me. I grip his hand more tightly. Musette? I love you. You know that, right? I've known for a while, but it's nice to hear it all the same. Then I'll say it for as long as you want me to. For the rest of our lives, then. A princess and her knight, huh? Does that matter? No, it doesn't. Even if there was such a rule, I'd abolish it once I became queen. Fritz starts to laugh. As always, his laughter is so full of joy it lifts my heart. I want to hear it for the rest of my life. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to. Yay! I did it! 100%! Kish says I wanted her to be with the doctor. Oh. In terms of her being paired up with someone, I would probably choose... I mean, Walt is probably the one, right? Childhood friend, lost her memories to him. He's known her the most out of all of them. But yeah, probably the most tragic one is Varg. That sucks. And the fact that he willingly erased himself was kind of actually really sad. Oh, there he is. And a smug smile. It was kind of cringe. Which one? I feel like this one is like, I mean, without that double personality, it's a bit generic. Princess and her knight. Oh, yeah. Her relationship with her mother is cringeworthy. Yeah, I would probably agree. Thank you for playing Cinderella Phenomenon.